The first instance involves bully Kiyomasa, who'd been beating on Takemichi and his friends for a good while. Kiyomasa was easily the strongest out of those around him, and everyone was afraid of him. Takemichi eventually manages to find the courage to stand up to him despite being much weaker than him, despite all the while getting his ass kicked multiple times. Takemichi continues to not back down. Just as Takemichi strengthens his resolve, two guys come and stop the conflict.
Oi, Kiyomasa.
These two turn out to be Draken and Mikey. Mikey seems to take a liking to Takemichi. He then turns to Kiyomasa, who Mikey then destroys in a matter of seconds like it was nothing. The second instance is from back in the day when Draken and Mikey were in 5th grade, before they had both met. Draken was rolling with the Sameyada crew at the time, and they were above his level in strength, so Draken was basically their gopher. Sameyada mentions a kid's name, Mikey, who'd apparently been making a name for himself, and tells Draken to bring him to them so they can whoop his ass. Draken searches for him, but when he finds him, he is shocked to see Mikey looking much weaker than expected. Draken tells Mikey that Sameyada wants to see him, and Mikey agrees to go. Draken starts to think about how bad this wimpy-looking Mikey is gonna be beaten up. The two of them arrive at Sameyada's crew, but before anything could be said, Mikey makes a move. He leaps in the air and takes down the leader in a flash before anyone could even comprehend what was going on. This marks the beginning of Mikey and Draken's friendship. Next up is from when Toman and Mebius are set to go to war, and Takemichi is trying to prevent it from happening. Despite Takemichi's efforts, he was unable to convince the boys. Then, Osanai, the Mebius leader, walks in on the Toman meeting. He insults them, and drops Pachin with a punch. He had heard that Toman were planning to fight them, and brought his crew over to jump them while they were small in numbers. A fight starts between Pachin and Osanai, but Pachin is defeated easily. Mikey decides to fight instead. But this time it was over in a flash. The following scene is from back in the past again, when Toman had recently been founded by the original 6 members, and were out for a ride on their bikes. Mikey only had a moped scooter at the time, and even though he loved it, it was subjected to ridicule by another gang. Baji ends up having to take Mikey's bike to get gas while the rest go to the beach, but the gang from earlier show up again while Baji is on his own. The gang starts to jump Baji and attempt to destroy Mikey's bike, but Baji bravely defends it. Mikey ends up coming back because he forgot his swim trunks and sees that the gang are jumping Baji. He then wrecks his own bike, clearly showing that he cares about Baji way more. Mikey takes one of the gang members and sends him tumbling away. Then he and Baji take on the rest of the gang. This instance comes during the battle between Toman and Valhalla, where Kazutora, one of the former 6 founders of Toman, is now a traitor coming for some revenge against Mikey, and he pulls Mikey into a 3-on-1 fight. Kazutora manages to stop Mikey's movement, and lands a solid blow to his head with a piece of scrap metal, appearing to knock him out. Mikey! Surprisingly, the Invincible Mikey stands up, and confronts Kazutora about their past, where Kazutora accidentally killed Mikey's brother, and somehow turned that into a grudge against Mikey. After some deranged, deluded rant, Kazutora starts pummeling Mikey with the metal weapon. After hearing Kazutora's words, Mikey falls into a rage. With the weight of another human on his leg, Mikey lifts it up and smashes Kazutora in the head, knocking him out cold. The next part takes place shortly after the last scene, and Mikey calls a stop to all the fighting, because Kazutora stabbed Baji in the back. As Mikey heads down and over to Baji and Kazutora, Hanma stops him and tells him he's not the one in control. Hanma is a strong character. He's the leader of Valhalla, and was previously having a relatively equal fight with Draken, so he was definitely not someone to be messed with. But now back to the confrontation between Hanma and Mikey. The next thing anyone knew, Hanma's head was stomped into the ground, and the fighting was over. Finally, the last instance we're dealing with is arguably the strongest enemy so far in the series, which is Taiju. Hakai is Taiju's younger brother, and he came to this church to put an end to all the pain and abuse Taiju has caused him, his sister, and many others over the years. Takemichi came to stop Hakai from going through with the murder, so Hakai doesn't have to suffer the consequences. Taiju arrives, and things get crazy quickly. Taiju throws Hakai, and turns his attention to Takemichi, and then rocks his lights with one punch. Hakai and Taiju's sister Yuzuha appears and stabs Taiju in the back. But even this isn't enough to stop him. The wave of Taiju's destructiveness begins, and all kinds of madness occurs. Mitsuya joins the fight. Taiju's gang member Inui appears with a snake attack. Takemichi and Shifuyu rejoin the mix. Hakai goes to kill Taiju again, but Takemichi stops him. Takemichi ends up fighting Taiju again. Mikey arrives.
Merry Christmas. 何やってんだよ、お前ら。
Taiju knocks him down with one punch. To everyone's surprise, Mikey stands back up.
今日一番の力でぶん殴ったんだけどな。
一発もらったのは自分への戒めだ。
あ？
Suddenly, Taiju ends up on the floor by Mikey's feet. It all happened in a flash, but Mikey jumped and kicked Taiju before he even knew he'd been hit.
これが無敵のマイキー。